Jen, that old expression is never talk to your heroes. But forget it. I'm throwing that out the window right now. We have an opportunity to talk to Paul Stanley. You know him from KISS, but now you know him through his art. He's got 2 big shows coming up right around the corner, local too, the Wentworth Gallery, 2 of them. Las Olas in Lauderdale. That's on Friday the 9th. And Saturday is going to be Town Center Mall in Boca Raton.
Yeah, and Paul, I have to tell you, Bill has been pacing around the studio all morning waiting for your phone call. He's like, is he going to call? He's going to call. What I'm going to ask him, what I'm going to say to him. I'm so nervous. You really are his idol.
It's been the same over here. I've been I really talk to Bill.
Sure it has. I'll take that to my grave. Well, okay, let me explain this then. Let me defend myself. If you had told me when I was 14 on November 23rd, 1984, going to the Worcester Centrum to see KISS on the Animalized tour, the very first show, that someday I'd be talking to Paul on the phone, I would have called you crazy.
But you know what? That's the beauty of life. The whole thing about life is that you never know where it's going to lead, and paths do cross. So it's the same for me. I meet all these people who go, I never thought I would meet you, and it's such a big thing in my life. But hey, we're all the same. Hey, we meet on the street, we meet in the supermarkets, we meet on the phone, on radio stations.
Absolutely.
Honestly, do you go supermarket shopping? I have to ask that.
I swear. Yesterday, I was at the supermarket with my plastic bags that I can recycle and,
Here you go.
Getting groceries. So right now, I've just dropped my kids off at school. So yes, I am just another guy. When I put the Superman suit away, I am Clark Kent.
I love you too. Okay, now I'm getting jittery over here.
I told you it was going to happen. I told you. Well, no, seriously though, I could talk to you about KISS for a million years, but I know a lot about rock and roll, and I thank you again for introducing me to that. But I don't know a hell of a lot about art, but you do, and now you've reach this point in your life where you've got another creative side you can express, and we're going to see that at the Wentworth Gallery. But how cool is this? When did the art thing start, though? Is this since childhood?
I was always pretty gifted, but I never really painted until about 20 years ago. I was in the midst of turmoil. I was getting divorced, and a friend of mine said to me, "You should paint." And I was like, "Really?" Huh. And I went out and bought art supplies and did a self-portrait, and people looked at it and said, "Hey, that's you." So I knew I was onto something because it looked like me. And I hung some pieces in my house, and people's reactions were really strong. But I want to make a point that's really important. And you started off by saying, I don't know anything about art. Mm-hmm. What do you need to know? You know what you like and what you don't like.
True.
And critics' jobs are to secure their job by intimidating you into believing that you need to know something. Good art is what you like. Bad art is what you don't like. Good food you swallow. Bad food you spit out. You don't need an education, and you don't need to justify your feelings to anybody. It's your taste is yours alone, and you don't need to have a college degree to know what you like, and you don't need to justify it. So you don't need to know anything about art except you look at something and say, I like that. It resonates. It means something to me. And end of story.
See,
How do you like that?
This is why this guy has meant so much to me in my life. Because I mean, honestly, you're an awkward teenage kid. I'm one of the few kids at the time, and I'll tell you, among my group anyway, I'm a full-on KISS fan, and I took a bunch of crap for that. But through the music, because KISS has always been very motivational, always. I think you can agree to that.
Yes.
It taught me a lesson in standing up for myself and believing in what I believe in. I mean, it's kind of a corny thing, but I'll tell you that.
No, that's timeless. People can sing about saving the whales or whatever they want to sing about, and that's all well and good. But at the bottom of it all is self-empowerment. And if we can all believe in ourselves and know that we can do things on our own, we can change the world, we can have great lives, we don't have to live as victims, then we succeed. So whether it's art or anything else, stand up for what you believe in and move forward.
Good for you. I really do love you. And I do like your art. But you designed the KISS logo, right?
Well, I wouldn't take all the credit. Ace had this concept for the logo.
Did he? Okay.
And did it a more crude version. And the version that you see on everything to this day is one that I actually did on a coffee table in my parents' house with a ruler and a Sharpie. And that is, to this day, the one that is the the logo that has stood the test of time.
And look at that. Did you think at the time, okay, all right, someday this is going to be one of the most iconic logos in anything, in all of marketing?
Well, we needed a logo in the same way that
Right.
the Beatles had a logo.
Right, they did.
Coca-Cola, Ford. I think that all great institutions have an identifiable logo. So you have name recognition, and when somebody sees something, they know it immediately. So the logo really almost goes back to a classic car kind of emblem that you would see on the side of a car.
Please tell me you kept the coffee table.
My parents got rid of it at some point.
No.
I always want, there's, as you know, there's so much KISS memorabilia out there. There's some big collectors. I always think when I see this stuff, you know what? Their families must have some stuff that, they just thought at the time was going to be nothing.
Right.
It's right.
Except the coffee table.
It's true. It's true. And back to these shows, these Wentworth shows.
Yes.
It really is an opportunity for people who have been kind of intimidated into never going into a gallery to see some art that you might like. And quite honestly, if you don't like my art, go home and do your own. You can do it. And perhaps I'm 10 or 20 steps ahead of you, but you should come in, see if there's something you like, because whether it's cutting out magazine photos and putting them on your wall, your wall always looks better with something on it. And, I'm real proud of the pieces I do, and they resonate with people, and there's stories behind a lot of them. And one thing I'm not afraid of is color. So there's a lot of bold colors. And I've had an incredibly successful career with my art. If credibility in art comes from starving, I'm never going to have credibility. I've done too well.
You're pretty modest, though, because there's an inane talent that you have. Not only, you can sing, you can play a guitar, you can perform, and now you can paint, which I love some of your work, by the way. And I'm not an art snob either. I just look at paintings. I'm like you. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But for somebody like me who has a hard time, honestly and truly, doing a stick figure, can art be taught? Can you learn to paint?
Well, I think everybody, can somebody be taught to sing? Yes. Can you be a brilliant singer? Probably not. But I come from a different school, and what I try to tell people is if you try to paint a Coca-Cola bottle and it comes out looking like a hamburger, does that mean that it's not good? I think people fall into a trap of, I can't paint because I tried to paint something and it doesn't look like what I tried to paint.
That's okay.
So what?
Right.
And even with my paintings, if you were to look at one of my paintings and we had a difference in what it meant, the opinion that's valid is yours. Who needs to know what a critic thinks of a rock concert or a classical concert? Did you like it is all that matters. And I would so much prefer reviews of music or art in newspapers that told what the people coming to see it thought and not what the person who is being paid thought.
Well, I mean, you guys have said that in going back to KISS for a second since the get-go. It's about what the fans say. It's not about what some guy who gets a free media pass and gets to talk about it or these days blog about it. It's not because they don't have a vested interest in it,
Well, interestingly, when we go back to concerts and that, when I did Phantom of the Opera, and by the way, I had to audition in New York for the top people who are in charge of the show, and they sent me to Toronto, where I was the final Phantom in a 10-year run of the show.
Yep.
Wow. And I wanted people to come to the theater and realize that theater isn't a white glove affair. It isn't for snobs. Theater started in the street, and people should enjoy it without feeling intimidated by it. So anytime I can knock down those walls and push those kind of aristocracy and those snobs aside and let people enjoy things for what they are,
right,
I'm there.
Paul Stanley on the line with us, gracious enough to give us his time. 2 chances to see his art, too. Wentworth Gallery, both of them are Wentworth's. Friday the 9th, that's Las Olas at Lauderdale. Saturday the 10th, a little closer to us, at the Town Center Mall in Boca Raton. And I got to tell you, too, I just finished up about maybe 2 months ago, Face the Music. Congratulations, New York Times bestseller. As I'm reading this, as I'm going along, it felt to me like it was a really therapeutic experience for you. Like it was something you had to do. Was that the thought process?
Well, interestingly, for me, I never thought I needed to write a book. I think it can be very self-serving. I wrote that book initially for my children.
Really?
I'm in a great position of being able to show my children what it took for me to succeed,
right,
what I had to go through. And look, we all have our trials and tribulations. The problem is that some people wallow in it and make themselves victims. And the only person who suffers from being a victim is the victim. You got to pick yourself up, roll up your sleeves. In most areas, you find that if you're miserable and you think that fame and success is going to make you happy, you'll find out you're wrong, and you wind up either with a needle in your arm or a gun in your mouth. So I think what I try to show people is, hey, these stories can all have a happy ending. Mine certainly does. I have an amazing family, and the book has been translated into 6 languages, and I'm working on the sequel. So life is an adventure. I never know what's coming tomorrow.
It's a good thing you guys stayed in shape, because I don't know if there's a point in your life where you've been busier. I mean, you've got, obviously, Kiss is an ongoing thing. You've got the art, these 2 Wentworth shows, but you just wrapped up a tour over in Japan with Soul Station. I mean, how did those go?
They were phenomenal. I did 12 shows in 6 days in Osaka and Tokyo, and Soul Station is a 13-piece band of mine. And what we do is faithfully and reverently and with a lot of pride reproduce songs that really aren't being done live the way they should. We do Four Tops, Delphonics, Spinners, Temptations.
Wow.
And we do these songs note for note. I mean, they're phenomenal. They sound super powerful. And, unfortunately, all this great Philly soul and Motown music has been relegated to being the background for some electronic beat and some guy doing a nursery rhyme on top of it. So, I can't say I'm a fan of most of, that music, but I'm a real fan of what's at the foundation, and we need to hear that music more.
Well, I got to tell you this. I like your Mona Lisa better than the original. So I'm going to show up at
every icon needs an update.
There you go.
Paul Stanley, we can't thank you enough for taking the time. You've been so gracious and so wonderful.
And don't forget Wentworth Gallery.
Pleasure.
2 shows, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be Las Olas in Lauderdale, and then the Town Center Mall in Boca.
And I will be there.
That is awesome, dude. Thanks so much for what you meant to us. I appreciate it, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.